I'm Deborah Prinzing. As people are coming in, I'll just give a little context about today. There's been so much conversation for years about cooperatives and collective selling models, and people are doing really innovative things. And it's not surprising that the last decade has been my focus on building slow flowers has been in parallel with this, because I got to be in at the very beginning with my friends in Seattle at the Seattle Wholesale Growers Market, which launched in 2011. They just celebrated their 10th anniversary. And I feel like this last decade has really been an arc of innovation as farmers, flower farmers, are taking control of their distribution channels in a really interesting ways that nurture community, both among farmers, but also with floral designers and florists who really want to connect directly with farmers. So it's filled a void that was ignored by conventional wholesalers. And I think conventional wholesalers are catching up and trying to be responsive to this demand. But I feel like our community is at the leading edge of this and filled with innovators and pioneers. You will hear from some of those folks today. This meetup topic came out of an article I wrote for the Johnny's Seeds newsletter in October. And Karen or I will put the link to that in the chat box if you haven't seen it. In that I talked about these three different, there's other models, but the three primary models of selling. And at the end of the article, the Johnny's folks and I said, this is so meaty. There's so much material here. We should do a webinar. So we had a terrific webinar that was last, I guess just earlier this month. And one of our breakout room guests, Jamie Rogers from Farm to Florist, Montana, was one of the presenters. He was amazing. I'm going to put the link to the replay of that in the chat so you all can go back and watch it. But I thought, that was pretty broad. In fact, it was the attendance was pretty heavy on food farming, because Johnny's, of course, sells to food farmers too. And I thought it would just be really helpful if we could come together as a community, meet our members who are doing some innovative things and hear from them and talk about some of the ways that slow flowers can support you and help build your networks and help, can make connections and share with one another. Anyway, that's the backstory. Nisha Blancas, our social media manager, is here. She's wearing her, tell everyone why you're wearing that cool sweatshirt, Nisha.
It's Free Britney Day, so.
Thank you, Nisha. She's going to keep us on popular culture better than anyone. I love your Britney sweatshirt. And I think you're going to, if you were selling that, I'd be ordering one right now. We also have Karen Thornton, our operations and events manager, somewhere along the line. She might have closed her screen, but she'll be helping. And I'm so excited. Lisa Wad, our membership manager, is here. Hi, Lisa. Lisa's going to make some remarks in a little bit. So right now, though, I want to introduce our two main speakers. And please welcome Patti Doell. And Patti is a longtime flower farmer and member of Slow Flowers who owns Little Big Farm in New Jersey. Hi, Patti.
Hi.
Patti is one of the co-founders. I believe she'll tell us more of the Garden State Flower Cooperative in New Jersey, and she's a past guest of the Slow Flowers podcast. So we're going to hear from Patti and talking about what they've done in New Jersey, and then I want to introduce Connie Homerick. I hope I'm saying that right, Connie.
Yes. Yep.
Connie's from Ohio. She owns the Iris Patch and is part of the founding of the Ohio Cut Flower Collective. And so we're going to hear from Patti, then Connie, and then we'll hear from Lisa, and then jump to our breakout rooms. And I just want to introduce our breakout rooms now, so you can be thinking about which one you want to join. When we're done with the first presentations, Karen will let everyone know how to get into the breakout rooms for a little bit more in-depth discussion. Carly Jenkins and Jamie Rogers of Killing Frost Farm and the Farm to Florist Collective in Farm to Florist Montana group are going to talk about farmer distributed wholesale, farmers selling their flowers on, and also flowers of other farmers. So I think that's a really interesting model. Amanda Maurerman of Michigan Flower Growers Cooperative. Hi, Amanda. She's a co-founder of the group that is what, about 4 years old now, Amanda? 5?
Yep, 5.
5 years.
Good.
Great. Both Carly and Jamie and also Amanda have all been past guests of the Slow Flowers podcast. And then Haley Tobias of Old Dominion Flower Cooperative. Hi, Haley. Thanks for joining us. She's going to talk about multi-owner collectives, not legal cooperatives, but multi-owner collectives. So that will be the last 20, 30 minutes of this. And if you can hang in, great. If you have to bounce off, we understand. And luckily we'll have the replay video available next week. Great. Patti, thanks so much for joining us. Would you tell us about your business, your farming business, and where you previously sold your flowers? And then ask us, I'd like to just hear all about what you guys are doing in New Jersey with the Garden State Flower Cooperative.
Sure. Thanks so much for inviting me, Deborah. Really appreciate it. I'm here to talk about the Garden State Flower Co-op. My small flower farm is Little Big Farm here in New Jersey. I'm in the northern part of New Jersey that probably nobody knows about. It still has farms and is a lovely place to live and farm. We have been in business since 2006, so quite a while now, 15 years. And we did pretty much everything as far as farming goes for sales outlets. We sold to grocery stores, we did CSA, we did farmers markets, and we did bulk weddings, we did full service weddings. We kind of ran the gamut with it. Right now, we're just selling to the co-op, and we have a CSA, and we do bulk weddings only now. You know, having done all that, at some point just realized I wanted to buy, especially when I was doing weddings, I realized I really wanted to buy flowers for the weddings that were like mine, local flowers, not from overseas, really great quality, really special stuff, and started seeking out other people who are interested in possibly joining a co-op. And so,
Yeah. What was that, 2 years ago, or when did you actually start?
So in 2018, a fellow flower farmer in New Jersey here, Colleen Gilmore from Bud and Blooms, and I started talking about, she contacted me and we started talking about the co-op as an idea. 2019, we got together an interest group of people who are interested in forming a co-op. We had about 15 people show up and talk about, 15 flower farmers show up and talk about the possibility of starting a co-op together. That was January 2019. And by July, we were in business.
Wow, that's awesome. You were up and running. Can you put yourself on the map so people know where you are in New Jersey and what markets you serve? And I'm going to put the website up on the screen for people to see while you're talking, because it's just kind of nice to get a picture of who's in your cooperative and how you present yourself to the marketplace.
Sure. So we are up in, we sell in Morris County, New Jersey, in Essex County. Like, we're in sort of the northern part of New Jersey, but almost central northern area. So we're in Morris County, Essex County, Bergen County. We do a little bit of Warren County. We have growers in Sussex County. So we're trying to stay in that kind of general area. We did this year start to do a little bit, there is a interest in the shore, supplying flowers to the shore as well.
So are you serving people who would otherwise have been going to, like, the Flower District on West 28th
Absolutely.
Street? Really?
Yeah, absolutely. So that is one of our real strengths here. We are so close to New York City, and it's so hard to get into New York City. It's so hard to find parking in New York City. And we have a lot of people who would prefer to come to us, not just because of the convenience, but we also have amazing product. We provide special service. We, often will bring the flowers right out to your car for you. So we are providing a great service, and it's a lot easier to park in New Jersey there than in New York City.
This is so great. It's really nice that you have these farmer profiles on your website so people can kind of see the diversity of size of farm, crops, and also just maturity of new farmers and more established farmers.
Yeah, that is definitely one of our strengths. We have some very veteran farmers working with us, and we also have some new farmers as well. So that is definitely something that helps us out quite a bit.
Well, while we look at some eye candy of your blooms, which of course at this time of year everyone needs to see, can you talk about just the business structure? Do you have a physical location, and also what the kind of financial commitment there is to be part of one of the growers of the cooperative?
Yeah, so we are a legal entity. We are incorporated. I want to give a really big shout out here to Amanda Maurerman and the Michigan Flower Co-op. They helped us tremendously. We modeled our business on their flower co-op. They helped us walk us through incorporating bylaws, everything that we needed to do. So that was great. They really helped us out there. And so we incorporated finally in July 2019 and started business at that point. We had started with 10 growers, and then last year I think we had 13. This year we have 12. So we have about 12 strong growers now. And the financial commitment is to join. Well, in order to run the co-op, we do take a percentage fee to run the co-op. We have a market manager. We have an assistant market manager, sort of like, that helps out the market manager, obviously. Mm-hmm. And so we have, we take 25%. Originally, we're taking 30%, modeled also after Michigan, very similar, but we were able to get that down a bit this past year. So that helps pay for those employees. And then this year we did get a location. COVID definitely put a little monkey wrench in our plans. We were able to, that was one of our great achievements last year, to be able to run. And yet COVID did prove to be quite a bit of a opportunity too for us, because it really, local flowers were, were so sought after last year. So we are in Boonton, New Jersey now. We have our own location. Last year we ran out of one of our members' farms. And so we had to run all outside mostly. But this year we have our own location, and it's small, but it's awesome because we have a great parking lot, and we have, people are coming and going quick. People can shop the market floor, and they can pre-order. And the pre-order is where is awesome, because so we, again, thanks to Michigan, we're able to create an app, and we use their app developer to create this an app so that people can order from their phones and pre-order ahead of time. So you can order a week in advance all your product and come pick it up, or you can also shop the floor. So we're only open 1 day a week right now, but we're exploring opening 2 days a week for next year.
So your model then has radically changed your farm and how you do business, Patti, because it sounds like what percentage of the flowers you grow are now going through the Garden State Flower Cooperative? 100%?
I would say probably 80. I'm still doing CSA, and I'm still doing bulk weddings, but it's awesome. It's great to streamline and grow that way for me. Having done all those other avenues of sales, I personally just love that for my farm.
Wow. And do you feel like your overall revenue because I know there's some concern about selling wholesale, and obviously the price per stem may be less, but your volume, you're saving on other, kind of expenses, mainly your time. But how do you calculate that and measure, has it been more profitable for you to do this?
It's definitely been more profitable for us. We actually, as a co-op overall, we were able to double our sales since 2020. So we just, I think a lot of it has to do with our proximity to New York City, and we have we have a lot of florists. New Jersey is one of the most densest populated states in all of the United States. So there's a lot of people and there's a lot of florists and there's a lot of events going on. And so,
A lot of weddings, right?
a lot of weddings, a lot of events. And so, and being close to New York has helped a lot with that. So for us, the pricing, you know, we are very boutique. We're not charging necessarily the lower price on the wholesale end. You know, for like a bunch of 10 zinnias, for us, we're getting $10. We're getting $1 a stem for the zinnias. So we are charging good market rates, but the quality is outstanding. We expect high quality from all of our growers. The stems are all perfectly long and clean and wonderful, and every stem is usable.
And is this something that your employee handles? I mean, the board perhaps sets the best practices, and then your staff is checking quality as product comes in. And is everyone agree to that?
Yeah, we have member meetings, and we also have an awesome board. I want to give a shout out to my awesome 5-member board. Could not do this if you're looking to start a co-op. Having a great group of people behind you is where it's so important. We have our 5-member board that we meet monthly, especially for the last we're going into our 4th year. So we meet every month and, you know, go through everything. But the staff is, and also our market manager, who really helped get this off the ground, which was also Colleen Gilmore, who is one of our member growers. So she was able to really keep her eye on the product. And so she is the one who's handling that.
Great.
For the most part, quality.
So she has high level of product knowledge versus just somebody who maybe was an hourly, you know, retail worker. Yeah. Patti, I know, didn't you get a grant or something when you started? Was there some funding, or did you self-fund completely?
No, we self-funded.
Wow.
We did not get a grant.
Wow. That's really
There wasn't
impressive.
a lot of really upfront costs, really. We got a lawyer, we got an accountant. There wasn't a lot of upfront costs, really. And then each member was a $200 to join for, you know, so that was kind of the revenue building for that.
Wow.
But, and
that's amazing. You did it on a shoestring.
Yes, we did. And we also did have donated space the first 2 years. That was really key. Our first 2 years, we were not paying any rent. So that was a very good thing.
Wow. That sounds great. And I think you said your sales doubled from your, year
2020 to
go ahead.
From 2020 to 2021, our sales more than doubled.
Wow. Would you feel comfortable sharing what the gross revenue was for this year?
It was close to 200,000.
Wow. Wow. That's great. You've got nowhere to go but up, because the demand is there. It's just capacity. It's capacity for the farms to produce more floral product, right? Yes.
We are looking to get a few more farms in this year. We have had an open house to maybe have a few more members join. We're trying to be careful with that too, though, trying to be selective on who we have joined. Anybody who listened to the Johnny's webinar last week knows, you know, you have to have a real commitment from your growers that they're going to bring you their best product.
Yeah. Before we wrap up and switch over to hearing from Connie, can you just talk a little bit about how many florists have registered with you, and do they pay for some kind of buyer's card, and you know, how that has grown as well?
Yes. The first year we had 20 designers buy from us. There is a buyer's pass. It's $100 to order for the year. That gives you the ability to pre-order. The second year we had 50, and this year we're close to 100.
Wow, that's great.
From us.
And if you don't want to pay that, you can still walk in on the day and buy off the floor, or do you still require?
You still need a buyer's pass to walk in and buy off the floor.
What kind of things are you hearing from people about, I don't know, how happy they are that you exist?
Where have you been? You know, that kind of thing. Overall, the designers are very happy. One of our biggest hurdles will be going into the next year is we have people who want to pre-order. So
You mean like before you even plant?
you know, if you're well, no, like if you want to order a month in advance, you know what I mean? Like if you're a wedding florist, that's been a difficulty of ours that we're trying to figure out how to work with. But you know, overall, the designers are very happy. We have a floral advisory board that we work with. They meet with us monthly too, and that's been invaluable. They meet with us for about half an hour before every board meeting to tell us what they think, how they think things are going, and that's been great because they tell us whether or not we have the product they want, what they see for the future, what trends they're tracking. So that's been really valuable.
That is such a smart idea too, to create those relationships of they have buy-in. They want you to succeed.
Oh yeah, it's totally a relationship, and they see the value because, you know, when even New Jersey is a small state, but if you're trying to drive around to 4 or 5 different farms to get things, it takes forever. So it's all in one place. We're doing all the quality control, and we're doing all the marketing. So it's really a value for our members and for our growers.
Wow, that is so great. Okay, Patti, anything you want to say before we wrap up and move on to our next presenter? Because I maybe skipped some questions that you wanted to cover.
No, I think we covered everything. Yeah, I just definitely wanted to give, again, a big shout out to Michigan, because without them, they helped us really get to the next level. And so I was really excited to see Amanda on there.
Well, yeah. And I mean, that's sort of the ethos of the Slow Flowers community. They paid it forward to you, and now you'll pay it forward to someone else, I'm sure. Amanda's nodding. And I know people helped the Michigan Flower Cooperative. So it's just awesome, because this is not a one size fits all opportunity. Every group has their own regional particular needs. And that's why we're looking at different models to see what works. So thank you, Patti. We'll get back to you when we do a little discussion. I want to introduce Connie Homerick, and Connie is part of the new Ohio Cut Flower Collective. And maybe you can talk a little bit about your business, the Iris Patch, and what it is, and then how it inspired you to incubate this new hub.
Okay. Yeah, so I started the Iris Patch in 2013, just kind of dabbling and growing. I had gotten out of traditional floral shops after several years, and I had grown and was selling kind of like a little bucket route truck to our local brick and mortars. And I was making sales, but obviously wasn't moving a lot. And then several other farms popped up in my area. And it just seemed like we were all running the same route. And when, this could be combined. So we got together, we talked about it. And then in the fall of 2019, that's when we actually got together and talked about, I had went with the intention of starting a co-op, but the other farms that we met with made it very clear no one had time to really put the time into starting a co-op with all that was involved with a board and the legal aspects of it. And that's how we came to starting a collective here in Ohio.
So your model is also could be described as is it a multi-owner LLC?
I solely own it.
Okay.
Yeah. So actually I have it set up that it's like the wholesale division of the Iris Patch.
Oh, so that's really interesting. But, it's similar to what I've heard from other people. The comparison, I think, is Christine Hoffman of Twin Cities Flower Exchange in Minneapolis, who was on the Johnny's webinar, who basically is a florist who started selling, and she's not a grower, but I think she felt that this had to happen. The timing was right. And no one was really ready to do a cooperative. And sounds like what you were up against. Right. Wow. Yeah. Where are you located in Ohio?
So we're right in the middle of the state. We're about an hour north of Columbus. We're an hour south of Cleveland, and roughly an hour from Akron. So we're good centrally located.
Mm-hmm. Wow. And tell us a little bit about, and I'm going to pull the Ohio Cut Flower Collective up on the screen while we're talking. What do you have a physical location, and how do florists get their hands on your flowers?
Okay, so we do have a building. It's located in Lucas, which, centrally located right off of 71. So it's easy access. A building that we had already had on the property that we weren't necessarily using for anything. We built a walk-in cooler for it. The florists, as you can see on the website, they do have to sign up for a wholesale application. They have to be, actually approved to shop through us. And they can get flowers. They actually have 3 options, 3 ways they can order flowers. They can actually send us a pre-order if it's more than a week out in advance via email. Then they also can, on Thursday evenings for the next week, they can get on the website and actually order. But what they order off the website on starting on Thursday evenings until Mondays is actually what's still available after pre-orders have been taken into consideration. And then we always encourage them to pick up their order, even though we do offer delivery and shipping. We encourage them to pick up because a lot of times the farms will bring in stuff that we didn't even know they had.
Sure.
Something that maybe they weren't aware that was blooming and they knew it would be a good fit, and they pick it and bring it in on Tuesday for Wednesday's market, and they can shop Wednesday from 8 to 1.
Wow, this is exciting. It sounds like for some of these farmers, I mean, I'm looking here and I see Sunny Meadows, for example, they have a very robust, they have multiple channels of selling their flowers, but this was still a benefit for them to have a new channel locally to sell through your collective. Is that how most of the farmers are they mostly using you as yet another channel, or are many people moving more of their product over to your platform?
It kind of varies. Some of the farms work with us weekly, and then some are just like if they have an excess amount of product and they want to try to sell through the collective. For example, Mohegan Flower Farm, Nate, and then Katie from Old Slate Farm. Mm-hmm. Nate, for example, his other sales outlet is farmers market. So it works out very conveniently for him. He will, let me know what he has on Tuesdays. I update him, or on Mondays, I update him on what has sold. Tuesday, he brings it to me, and then he always brings extra. And then if it doesn't sell, he'll pick it up Wednesday and he turns it into farmers market's bouquet. So he really has very little waste of his product.
Wow. Smart.
And then Katie, for an example, her other outlet is her own weddings. She grows a lot more of the specialty crops and the dainty stuff. And if she doesn't have a wedding that week, I'm fair game to sell anything I want out of her fields. So it works out really good for her too, because, it's her main sales outlet other than her own weddings. So.
Right. And then, what about, go ahead.
No, I was going to say, like Sunny Meadows, for example, it's worked out good with a few of their already established customers that were up in the Cleveland area. With all the delays in shipping this year, it worked out good that some of their customers could come down and pick up their product that Sunny Meadows had dropped off at the collective. If they wanted to, they could add on extra stuff that was there to choose from at the collective, and it wasn't quite a drive for them.
Right. That's a logistics. You're saving that. Well, it's just like what you said initially, that you're saving people from driving around to multiple farms. You're saving farmers from driving around to multiple customers too.
Right. Yeah.
How about you, Connie? Do you even have time to grow flowers and sell them, or are you pretty much running the collective full time?
I pretty much do the collective. I mean, I don't consider myself a farmer. I mean, I put in I sold them the majority of the Lysianthus through the collective this year, but if you want to put in the password, you can. That's fine.
Oh, why don't we do that? So just so people can see how it works, you hit shop wholesale.
Yeah,
you don't mind telling you don't mind saying what it is?
No, it's Ohio Blooms all together, all lowercase.
Okay. Oh, wow. Yeah, this is kind of fun. Then people can see what it looks like when a florist comes here. So they come on, and maybe do you have anything? You probably don't have anything to order right now. Here we go. Oh, yeah.
There's just a few dried stuff. And as you can see, we list that. And then actually when the customers come in on Wednesday, if they add anything to their order, we will create these custom listings at the top, and then that's how they can go back, Wednesday evening or whatever, and then make payment that way.
I see.
So they're able to just.
That's awesome. Wow, that's great. What is this platform that you're using?
That's Squarespace.
Okay. Wow, that's great. So Connie, you pretty much bankrolled this. Like, it sounds like you have property, which allowed you to have your own drop off and pick up, and you built a cooler. Is that sort of how, like, your infrastructure existed?
Yeah, we were pretty fortunate that my husband and I had a piece of property, like I said, that's right off 71, easy access for everyone, with a building that was already there. The only thing we really had to, we had to have electric installed, and we had a cooler built that could accommodate the amount of flowers, because actually last year in 20, I actually was storing all the flowers, like the dahlias and stuff that had to be stored in a 2-door cooler. And it was like panic the day of the day of the market, just making sure everything was as fresh as possible. But this year we actually did build a larger walk-in cooler.
Wow. Mm-hmm. Do you mind talking a little bit about the finances in terms of what margins you offer to farmers, and then also what your buyers pay?
Right. Well, the farmers set their own prices. Then as part of selling through the collective, we keep 30% of their sales. So that's it. I mean, they don't have to pay a fee to become a member. They just have to, obviously I have to prove them to sell through the collective, but it's 30% of the sales. And then the florist actually, all they have to be is approved through their application. They don't actually pay a buyer's pass or anything like that. As far as delivery, we do, have minimum requirements for delivery, and then delivery fees and stuff like that. But other than that, there's no charge to the florist.
And I noticed on your membership list, after you list who all the farmers are, I closed down the site, but you had some other types of membership category. Are those florists? Yeah,
well, we have Kate from the Lesser Bear. She's ribbon, all natural dyed ribbon. And we do want to slowly incorporate more hard goods into the collective, so that, if there's plenty of times where, they needed ribbon at last minute, and they were able to pick up a nice bolt of her ribbon there at the collective on Wednesday when they picked up their order.
Yeah. So she's kind of a consignee of hard goods, but you see that could be other categories of product as well.
Right. Yeah. We'd like to get, some eco-friendly foam, just minor supplies that, last minute, you don't want to, place a large order. You just need like a couple of things that you could add on. So that's a goal for next year, is to add more hard goods.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. What is the void that you're filling? Like you mentioned, being an hour away from all these large markets. Are there conventional wholesalers in those large markets, but none where you are? Where's the pain? What was the pain point?
I think a lot of it was just that we were all wasting so much time driving around. That was actually it. We do have a couple larger wholesalers in the, obviously Columbus and Cleveland area. There's none within an hour range of us. But the point being that we were so centrally located from all these major cities, that if they wanted local flowers, that we were really just an hour drive from so many larger cities.
That was the appeal.
Yeah. Yep.
And I think also that makes sense, because if it was just you selling flowers, a florist from Columbus or Cleveland probably wouldn't make the drive. But if knowing that
I didn't have enough product, right?
Knowing that you have about a dozen farms supplying now.
We have 8. We had 8 this year, and we're bringing on 1 more for next year.
That's exciting.
Yes, so we'll have 9 farms. Yeah.
Wow, it's amazing. And this is your first year, right?
Well, we started last year.
Okay. I was a fun COVID pandemic project, right?
Yeah, I count 2020 as our first year. So, 2021 as our first year. Yeah. So we kind of, we weren't sure what to expect, but we had a lot of support we still had a lot of florists doing like photo shoots and stuff like that. And they were very supportive, even though the larger weddings got canceled. Because the majority of I would say almost all of our customers are event florists. instead of the traditional brick and mortar. So, but they supported us as much as they could in 2020. And then this year we were able to see some growth. Yeah.
Oh, that's awesome. Well, anything else you want to highlight that I didn't ask you about, Connie? Because this is really fabulous to hear about what you're doing.
Not that I can think of. I appreciate you bringing up the conversation, because it seems like so many of these hubs are popping up, and there's so many different avenues that you could go with it to make it convenient for all the farmers.
Yeah.
So,
and I think sometimes and let's bring Patti in and we can have a little bit of a discussion of between the three of us before we wrap up. And actually, and I'm going to let Lisa jump in and ask some of the questions that have been posed. Patti, do you see that there's sort of this, you know, I'm thinking with what Connie's doing and what you're doing, the customer doesn't necessarily know the business model. Like the shopper, the florist they shouldn't have to even think about it. They just want the flowers, right? I mean, it's really more tailoring the business model that works for the growers. As long as the product is getting out there, you know, do you have a strong feeling about what model works in your case or in someone else's case?
In general, the florists they just want the flowers, you know, they're just looking for the flowers. However, I would say that like I said, we do have a floral advisory board, and basically what we did was we asked some of our top buyers who are heavily invested in getting our product, and they love the product, to help advise us, and they join us. There's like 6 of them this past year, and they rotate and they meet with us once a month. So those people are invested. They know that relationship, that as long as we survive, things get better for them. So they know the model, they know the business model, and that is awesome because they're entrepreneurs too, and business owners. And currently, a lot of our buyers are event designers, but we have a fair amount of brick and mortar as well, which is great to have those regular orders.
Yes, that's great. And maybe Connie, you'll go in that direction someday to, you know, because that weekly standing order is kind of a nice cash flow, right?
Mm-hmm. Especially during COVID, that was really important. I mean, even those brick and mortars, a lot of them, like they switched to just doing deliveries. Events were all canceled, and then all these brick and mortars, they switched into just doing you know, deliveries, bouquet deliveries or whatever. And their sales went crazy actually with that. So we were supplying all of that for COVID.
Yeah, that's awesome. Connie, how about you? Do you think that you'll go into that direction at all, or is it your sweet spot, the event florist?
Well, I had hoped that we would get more brick and mortar, but it just seems like this year that's just who gravitated towards us and who we gravitated towards. But yeah, there's a lot of, you know, there's a lot of brick and mortars very close to the collective that, you know, it's a lot of educational part on my end too, about local flowers with them. But yes, I'm hoping that eventually we can incorporate more brick and mortar florist into the business. Yep.
Yeah, that's cool. Hey, Lisa, I know you're keeping a track of the questions. Do you want to jump in and sort of bounce some questions off of Connie and Patti? And we have about 10 minutes.
Thanks so much, Deborah. Yes. So I guess building on what you were just talking about, we did have a question in the chat about how for Garden State, it's the Floral Advisory Board, but whatever you call the board of your co-op or your hub, how are those members selected or elected? If you can both speak to that, and then maybe our panelists, if you want to drop that info in the chat.
You mean our breakout room panelists?
Yeah, that would be great too, just so we can have some knowledge sharing in there too. Patti, do you want to?
Sure. We just had general elections, and the first year people just stepped up, and actually, so we're going into our 4th year. So the first year was myself and my co-founder Colleen Gilmore. We were the president and vice president, and then we needed a 5-member board according to our bylaws. We asked out of our 12 members who wanted to do it, and we actually had people just step right up, which was great. So we have your traditional secretary, treasurer, president, vice president. And so and then every 2 years, according to the bylaws, like every year you have an election for a 2-year term or a 1-year term. So yeah, so we're still all, I think, going to go forward into this year with the same board officers.
And I guess I'm just realizing, kind of, you shared that you are the sole manager of yours. So,
so she's president, vice president, secretary, treasurer.
Right.
You moved around the conference room table.
Yeah, I do. If I have an issue that arises or something, I do very much take into, I discuss it with the farmers and take into consideration their opinions and what they think I should do, what would be best for us as a whole. So.
We had some questions about, I guess, kind of drilling down into logistics of how do you decide which flowers are sold first if more than one grower has the same flower? And then maybe on the flip side, or like before, the prequel to that question is, how do you manage competition of if farmers want to grow the same flowers?
I'll go first. We really haven't had to deal with that too much yet. Because we're small and we have a lot of demand, we do have a lot of overlap, a lot of zinnias, a lot of cosmos, a lot of dahlias, a lot of those things. So far, it seems we're kind of like letting the market figure itself out and letting people buy grow what they want, and then the customers buy what they like. In the future, I can see that I feel as this is something that we will need to hone in on a little bit more as a group. And that's something we have on our list of things to work on, just because we all want to kind of, a lot of our members do want to grow just for the co-op going forward. And so trying to figure out who's going to grow what and maybe become a little bit more specialized. So for now, it's just kind of taking care of itself, but we're only going into our 4th year. So I can see that becoming something that we'll have to address in the future.
With our collective, I basically, if an order comes in, I go with the farms that participate the most in the collective first. And that's very well known to all the farmers. It's the more you interact with me and participate with me, and the more effort you put into the collective, the more orders you're going to get. So the ones that bring product weekly, even if it's not sold for the market days, they're going to get the orders first. But we haven't had, there's been a few times I pretty much tell the growers, like, don't worry about growing zinnias and cosmos, because like I could go out and cut those from my garden, but it's the bigger crops, like the white dahlias, the white lisianthus. The orders go first and foremost to the ones that participate the most. And honestly, the ones that have been from the very beginning too. So as the new growers come on, we just let them know that, you're down the line, you're so many numbers down the line. But if you're looking for something to grow, we'll give them a heads up on where there's like a missing product that needs taken care of, and sometimes they'll choose to grow that product.
I guess a follow-up on this that I saw in the chat was, do you see farmers adjusting pricing to cover the percentage of the sales that the hub or co-op takes?
I can say that I think they do pretty good on pricing, considering that there's a 30% percentage that comes back to the collective. Sometimes I have to remind them, hey, you guys, don't forget, I'm keeping 30% of your sales. So, we have to make sure, that I have to remind them sometimes, because they have to set their own price, but I don't want them to forget that I'm keeping 30% of that. So make sure you're pricing accordingly. So.
Right. Similar to us, as Connie said, we have a similar situation. We also helped put together a pricing sheet for all of our members, which is not something that they have to use, but it's a guideline so that we can all stay within the kind of window. But
Mhm.
no, yeah.
It sounds like that is part of the, part of the many benefits of being in a collective, where you are taking care of people and reminding them that they need to make money, which sometimes I think we can all forget to do. I just want to address this question, and maybe it's more appropriate to discuss in the breakout room, but I want to give a little space for it. Someone was curious about total gross sales of collectives. I'm not sure if that's something people want to pass on, or if you have at hand.
Patti shared hers for
okay.
2021. You said it was about 200,000. Is that right?
Yeah.
Sorry, sometimes I get drilled down into the questions, and I must have missed that.
And
Colleen, did you want to say
some
something?
comments in the chat as well. Amanda added about Michigan flower growers. Do you see that, Lisa?
Yes, thank you.
We our first year, 2020, we did 25,000. This year we have 2 more markets left, one next week and one in November, and we will hit 70,000 in gross sales this year.
Wow, congratulations.
That's great. That's similar to what so our first year was like 30 or 40, I think, and then we were about 70 or 80, and then this year we're up like close to 200. So
good.
Yeah, similar.
That's great. Lisa, do you have any other questions? Because I think I'm going to transition in about, I have one thing to add, but I'm going to see if there's one more question you want to pose.
I did just have one more question that I wanted to circle back to. Just curious what platforms our co-ops participating today use, different software, apps. I know Amelia from Rooted is here, and many folks are members of her organization. Anything like that you can share with folks?
We have an app that we had developed.
Yes.
And so we just had that, probably can give a little bit more information with that and maybe the breakout session, but that's what we use. And then we use Square for all of our sales. So
Square, okay. Yeah, I know you mentioned the app that Michigan Flower Growers Co-op also uses. I guess someone just asked what web platform that you organize around.
It's like, well, it was Glide, which is basically like Google Sheets. We use Google Sheets for the first 2 years. And then Glide is I'm not a computer person, the first person to say, but the Glide is basically the app that's based on, that Google Sheets is based on, so that you can create, an app on your phone so that you can order right from your phone with all these great pictures. It makes it super easy for the designers to order. And I think that was another contributing factor to our doubling our sales this year.
Connie, I know you mentioned your website is Squarespace. Is there anything else you want to share that you use that you find helpful?
No, everything's done through Squarespace. We're kind of old school. The florist will update me just via text what is available that week, and then I upload it onto the Squarespace website.
Thank you.
Hey, there's a lot of good information coming through in the chat, and we will cull it after this and do a post and send it around, because I'm seeing that, Old Dominion is using an app called Harvest, and Connecticut Flower Collective is using Rooted Farmers. So there's multiple things that people can look into if they're just beginning. And to that point, I want to just comment, right before we got on here, I had a phone meeting with Margaret Lund, who is the co-op consultant who was so influential in working with the Seattle Wholesale Growers Market. I know she also works with the Alaska Peony Cooperative, and she was on the Johnny's webinar. And we're going to kind of keep talking about trying to create some toolkits for people to use that perhaps, obviously we have to pay people for their expertise, but that would be sort of affordable for Slow Flowers members. But she gave me one really great tip, and that is someone asked about grants. The USDA has a value added producer grant, and it should be open in the spring of like first quarter of 2022. So I'm going to try to get that information, but you can apply for a planning grant. So if you don't have your cooperative figured out, and this is obviously, you'd have to, I don't know if USDA funds, looser organized farmers groups than collectives, but I'm going to look into it. But it sounds promising that you could apply for a grant just to do your planning and get funding from USDA to do that legwork so that you're not just shoestringing it. So I'll get a little more information on that. Thank you, Connie and Patti. You guys have been just a wealth of information and inspiration, and we wish you a huge success as you are winding down your current season. And I know Connie said she has 2 more markets. How about you, Patti? Are you still growing flowers in New Jersey?
We're finished. We finished. Our last market was us. Yeah. And we went to the very end this year. No frost till November, but October 31st was our last market.
Oh, that's awesome. That sounds great. Well, I know you guys are going to be hanging around. I'm going to ask Lisa to come in and just talk a little bit about what we're trying to do to develop partnerships with Slow Flowers and our members who are involved in flower hubs. So Lisa, can you jump back in?
I would love to. Thanks, Deborah, and thanks, Patti and Connie. This is so nice to be all together. So I'm going to do a little live shape shifting right in front of you. Right now, I'm talking to you as Lisa, the Slow Flowers membership manager, but I'm going to become Lisa Wad and tell you that, for years I was a florist. I still work with plants and flowers and do art installations, but my passion around today's conversation is, it's hard for us to not get punny in our line of work, but my passion is really rooted in the work that I've done. So in 2015, I did Flower House, and then got so excited by all the collaboration among American flower farmers. And that's like how I became friends with Deborah and started to work with her. The next year I wanted to keep the love going. And so I did Detroit Flower Week. And I had Diane come over to talk about her founding of Seattle Wholesale Growers Market. And, pointedly and explicitly told all my Michigan farmers, like, I'm bringing her here because I want this resource for myself here. And they took the hint. Amanda and the gang ran with it. And Michigan Flower Growers Co-op was born from all of our hard work there. I was honored to serve on the board and stir up some trouble there. And in my kind of preparing and making sure that I understood everyone's stories before this call, I was so thrilled to see that that Patti, that Garden State had worked with Amanda and Michigan Flower Growers Co-op, as inspiration and kind of mentorship, if I can use that word. And then even thinking about how, Deborah, I think you've mentioned you were at the planning meeting for Seattle Growers Wholesale Market, and that's where Slow Flowers came from. So really this morning I was just in this like swirl of love for American flowers.
Yay.
So that's where that's like who I am as a person, as a flower lover. So okay, take off that hat, and now hello, I'm Lisa, your Slow Flowers membership manager. And why I so love working with Deborah and Slow Flowers is because we're building a really powerful network in the US, and it's about American flowers, and we're stronger together. So as Deborah and I were working on bringing more folks that are in these hubs, these co-ops, the more of us, what is the voices in the choir, we're getting louder, and we're getting some attention with thanks to Deborah. So what we've put together is if you are a co-op and you are join as a premium member or upgrade from standard to premium, all of your members can join as a premium member for 1 year at the standard rate. And that's a way for us to share what Deborah, Karen, Nisha, and I, have really built out the premium membership as like something that's like pretty solid and pretty cool. So we're really just encouraging people to be premium members. So that now I'm just like throwing off both my hats and like, okay, let's get into these breakout rooms.
Thanks, Lisa. I love that you gave so much historical context for your own path. That makes me so happy. And you've been along this path with me, and in both kind of having one foot in working closely with farmers and one foot in working the design community. What you said was great, and I want to just echo that. This offer is not just for collectives or cooperatives, but also collectives and flower hubs. Anyone who's kind of brought a group together to sell in a regional kind of way. If you may already be a member, or one of your founders might be a member, but we want to try to formalize it because we have a category on slowflowers.com for wholesale flower hubs. And so we'll follow up with you on some of that, those details. But it is a way to try to elevate the attention for all of us. And so we hope that's interesting. I think that if you're a collective or a co-op, you can offer this to your farmers as a perk to them, because they're going to get a discount of $150 that, they wouldn't get otherwise. So use it, use it as a way to incentivize people to participate. Okay, Karen is going to talk about the collectives, the breakout rooms, and then we'll just go jump in and do that for about 25 minutes. I want to thank our amazing presenters today, Patti Doell of Garden State Flower Cooperative and Connie Homerick of Ohio Cut Flower Collective, and Lisa Wad, our membership manager, for just helping facilitate and get the conversation going. And then our breakout room moderators, really, I popped into all the rooms. There was such good conversation and good deep dive into farmer distributed wholesale with Carly Jenkins and Jamie Rogers of Farm to Florist, Montana, Amanda Maurerman of Michigan Flower Growers Cooperative, and the multi-owner collectives with Haley Tobias of Old Dominion Flower Cooperative. There were so many knowledgeable people in each room, people doing the same thing who could just have easily been presenters today. And don't worry, I took note. I may ask you to present when we do a follow-up session, because this was really powerful. So thank you all. Just a couple announcements. We are going to, we launched the Slow Flowers member survey earlier this week, and it's open until December 3rd. So if you see that, please take time to answer the questions on the survey. We have a couple giveaways for people who share their names and information with us. Karen will probably put the link to the survey in the chat. Coming up next week, we are announcing the details, the whole program and the speakers, all the details for the 2022 Slow Flowers Summit. And I'm really excited about that. We'll keep your eye out for that. And then ticket sales and registration will open December 1st. And we are going to also be announcing our small business Saturday / Cyber Monday weekend sale of merchandise on Slow Flower Society site, because Candace Howard, I think, reminded me that we have to do that this year. So it'll be 20% off of everything in the Slow Flowers Society store. It'll be like the Friday to the Monday of that weekend after Thanksgiving. That's coming. And then included in that, there'll be a couple other links. One is the video bundle will go on sale from the 2021 Slow Flowers Summit speakers. There's 9 hours of video, and that we have not offered that for sale yet, but we have a special price on that. And then the Slow Flowers Creative Writing Workshop is coming back, and there'll be a discount for that with new content, and we'll be promoting that over that same weekend. So lots going on. Next month, our final meetup of the year is going to be December 10th, Friday, December 10th, same time. We'll just go for an hour. Our special guest will be Holly Chappell, author of the brand new book, A Life in Flowers, which we'll be giving away some copies of. Project that I've spent almost a year on as editor. So I'm really happy to have it done. And Holly's going to come talk about Hope Flower Farm and Holly Chappell Flower Design and especially this book, A Life in Flowers. It'll be kind of a nice holiday theme. She might do a design for us as well. So that'll be on Friday, December 11th or 10th. And if anyone has ideas for meetup topics, please reach out. I think we're going to definitely do another one on selling flowers collectively. I think it's a very timely topic, and our presenters today just really inspired me. All of you will receive a follow-up information from Lisa about your cooperative, collective, or hub getting more involved in Slow Flowers as a member, or getting your members to participate, because I really think that we are not going to move the needle if we're not all singing from the same song sheet, as Lisa alluded to in the choir. So Karen's popping more information in the chat that I forgot to say, but it is 10:30 exactly, which means it's 1:30 on the East Coast. This has been a fabulous dynamic session, and I thank you all for joining. Please reach out if you have any follow-up questions, and have a wonderful weekend, and I'll see you all in December. Thanks to our speakers. Bye, everybody.